Have you ever been bored by a speaker? Why? Would you be happy being a boring speaker? Of course not. Well, I have been bored by speakers for decades, and I decided to change the world. Change the world. I created Storytizing, my signature training that will make you interesting, make you energized, make you more successful. It will have people wanting you to talk to them and to their organizations. It will get you booked on more stages. And isn't that what you really want? Storytizing. You need the training. I am the trainer. Hey, reach out to me, stevesapatoseminars.com. Hey, I'm Steve Sapato, and you're listening to Know, Like, and Trust. And today I have the absolute phenomenal pleasure of speaking with Joanne Lockwood. And we're going to be talking about how to find your niche in life, how to become a paid speaker, how to get your act together, I guess is the best way to put it. So if you would like to stay tuned to learn more about this, we'd appreciate that. Right, Joanne?
Yeah. Hi, Steve. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. This is great. And Joanne's calling in from England, Portsmouth, she said.
England, Portsmouth, England, on the south coast. Yep. About an hour and a half outside of London.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit of your journey. Don't spend 20 minutes because we only got 20 minutes, right? Spend a couple of minutes sharing your journey, what we really look at, because I have to admit, we were just talking at the pickleball courts this morning about somebody who that we were having a tournament this weekend, and somebody couldn't stay because I don't know if it was their son, but somebody in their immediate family committed suicide, and they were like 21 years old, and those of us who've never really, I mean, everybody says, "Oh, you ought to see my struggle," you don't know my life, but most of us have never experienced a place where we just go, I'm done. How do you absolutely reach that place? But boy, we get pushed to those limits a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And yeah, mental health is nothing to be taken for granted. We gotta recognize that. I look at my own life. I was born in the 60s and to a very vanilla white middle class family living in the suburbs. Both school teachers. My father was a naval officer for a while, but both school teachers, and it was very ordinary. And I grew up in that environment. I joined the armed forces from school in the Royal Air Force and got into electronics. Soon realised that wasn't for me quite quickly, and
I
exited
wonder
that.
how
And
many people have started jobs or careers and then they go, that wasn't me. I taught college for 7 years way back when, and I remember the students were all, 18 to 20-year-olds, and we talked about what they were going to do, and most of them said, I don't want to get stuck in a place like my parents did. And I go, what do you mean they're stuck? Because I've always been probably more similar to you in terms of pretty free spirit, but they go, well, they have to keep their job. And John Deere farming equipment was a big thing in our area. They have to keep their job at John Deere so they can keep their benefits, so they can keep their pensions. And that was foreign to me. I didn't get that. So when you said, yeah, you found out electronics wasn't your thing, I wonder how many times people go, I can't change. I'm locked in, right? That's part of what we're talking about. Find your niche in life.
yeah,
So
I
you
mean,
left the electronics thing. I interrupted
yeah.
you. Sorry.
Fortunately, I was young. Fortunately, I didn't. It wasn't way into my life, so I was able to make that career swap. I mean, okay, there was a lot of things around that time that it wasn't wholly voluntary, but it was kind of all borne out the fact that I wasn't resonating. So yeah, I got into computing. That was kind of my big thing in my 20s. I was mid 80s. Apple, IBM, all launching their
Yeah.
computers and stuff like that, and I
Don't
was
you don't you
young.
wish you'd have bought the Apple stock when it
Oh,
first came out?
I wish I bought Bitcoin. Actually,
Oh
I
yeah,
should have bought
yeah,
Bitcoin. Yeah, that would
yeah,
have been more profitable. I think just bought 1,000 of those when they were tuppence.
yeah.
But yeah, hey, we all learn with hindsight. But yeah, no, I got into
Took me a
computing
long time
when
to learn, unfortunately. Yeah.
still learning today. Still learning today. Yeah, so I did that for most of my career. But I got to my late 40s, and I think our two children. I'm married, been married for 38 years. Our two children left home. And it got to that point in my life where I realized again, I was on this conveyor belt to somewhere I wasn't really comfortable with. Life's expectations, they're all on your shoulders, aren't they? Keep your house going, keep your family going, keep your
Yep.
income coming, your reputation, or you're in this position where everything's stacking to keep you in the status quo.
Yeah.
Uh, so I got to the end of my 40s and I thought, hang on a minute, my gender identity is plaguing me all my life.
Oh.
I can't handle that anymore. my career in computing. It just got to the point where here we go again. I was doing it, you change it all the time. I was getting tired of being a computer person. And I said, "No, hang on a minute. I need to exit my business because I had a business at this time and exit my gender." And so that's what I did. I kind of engineered a strategy for the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, where I sold my shares to my business partners at the time. And 1st of March 2017, there I was, no career anymore, and bit of money in the bank, and a gender that I hadn't really taken for a test drive. So I was now Joanne at the beginning of March.
What were you before? Were you Joel?
Uh, no, I wasn't. No, no, completely different. I'm not. I won't share that because it's not relevant.
Okay.
But yeah, I was. It was definitely a male name. It was definitely a male name. So I changed both my given name, my full name to Joanne, and also my surname. Happy to share my surname. My surname was Manley, Manley, and I just there was too much irony around being a
That's right.
transgender woman
That's right,
and a
isn't
surname of Manley. So
it?
I had to sort of chuck that out the window as well, which is yeah. So when you
Well,
talk about
and I'm going
change
to
and
pause
getting
here a
off the
second because
rodeo, yeah,
a lot of people listening to the podcast now go, wait a minute, 'cause they might not be watching us on video, they might be listening. And if you missed that, he was struggling with his gender identity and became her. And I can't even imagine that as being a struggle in my head. We talk about that. I think a lot of straight people go, I don't get that. But we've never had that challenge where we actually faced a struggle with who am I? I mean, we always say, "Who am I? Am I a engineer? Am I a this or an accountant?" No, that's not what we're talking about. And I just can't imagine that struggle and finally making that decision. So, first of all, I want everybody to start going, "Wow, that's impressive that we can recognize those kinds of things in us," because most of us don't. That's why, and I think that's why suicide happens because we can't recognize, we can't make changes in our lives that adapt us to different situations. So we reach a place in our heads where we go, that's it, I'm done. And so I know, I just want to make sure that we all can get on board with
yeah,
the struggle. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in a little bit too. It's struggles in different
yeah.
ways.
I People often say to me, look at me in the eye and go, "I don't get it." And I go, "Well, actually, I don't get it either. I don't get it either. I can't explain it."
No.
And I had to literally, in order to pull myself out of the hole I was in mentally, the only way I came out was with a positive affirmation. I am trans. I am good enough. I am me. I'm okay. I don't need to be fixed. I'm not broken. I just am. And I think
Yeah.
that was the only way I was able to pull myself out of the spiral I was in. I wouldn't say depression, but certainly dark and gloomy times.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to escape this vortex, the Bermuda Triangle. I got out of it, and it was gender transitioning was the solution to the equation I never knew existed.
And I think what's fascinating is when I found Joanne online, we talked, got a couple things, insights into this, and then we talked a minute before we started. And what's fascinating to me is Joanne now makes a living as a professional speaker. And you go, wait a minute, there are people out there right now who go, I can't make a living as a straight person, or I can't make a living as a gay person. How does that happen where they start in 2017 to start over? And then COVID happens, and they're still making a living doing that. So one of the things I wanted to make sure we covered was how did Joanne not only make this transition, how does she get accepted? And then how does she find speaking gigs, speaking opportunities? Where does she go for that? Who does she talk to for that? Those are the things that I think can help the people plugged into this podcast, Know, Like, and Trust, to help you generate your future and your success. So, Joanne, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there I was, 1st of March 2017, new gender, my IT career behind me, and with this vision, if you like, of wanting to change the world in a better way for other trans individuals. And that's how I kind of started. That's what got me into this profession, if you like, of speaking around diversity, inclusion, DEI, EDI, depending on the terminology you use. And I didn't know I could earn a living at it. I just had this vision that I could go around talking to people and someone would pay me. And then I discovered this massive world of professional speaking that you could actually earn some serious bucks out of this. You know,
Yeah.
it's and I think it was a mindset that where because I'd always been a consultant in my IT world, I was used to solution selling, standing at the front with whiteboards and marker pens and solution selling. So I kind of got the consultative approach. So my approach to public speaking and professional speaking really is around show don't tell. It's about leading people down that road where they're enlightening themselves, creating knowledge, creating change, creating action. Think, act, and feel differently. How am I leaving you as a result of what I'm saying? So it started off around being trans, telling my story, telling my experience, getting that empathy, that sort of kind of people lean in and understand how I was feeling. And I moved into more talking about inclusive recruitment, inclusive talent, employee engagement. So I've
But
expanded it now to talk more generically
yeah,
around EDI.
but how do you like? How do you find a company where you go up to them and you say, "Hey, I'm a trans person and I need to talk to your people about it." Most people go, "No." So
Yeah,
how do
yeah,
you
you
approach?
do,
How did
you
you
do.
find the companies you talk to? How did you negotiate to get in and talk to the right people?
Well, I suppose because I've run businesses for years, since my 20s, I kind of get the concept of having to create a brand, create a persona, create marketing materials, creating an online presence. So all the things you do around a business, just that the product I'm selling is me. So I still need to brand myself and create this thing. So I guess I apply those basic business practices to creating me as a brand, social selling and things. And the way I got going was I first of all went around local companies. I looked up. So in the US, I think you have SHRM, um,
Sure,
HR people.
SHRM.
Yeah. So we have people organizations. So I went to conferences like that, local ones, small environments. I went to entrepreneurs networks locally. I went to women's networks locally, and kind of just got out there and started saying, "Look, I'll speak," and you just give me a microphone, let me get on stage. So you
Give me
do
a
that,
microphone, would you? Yeah.
yeah. You do
But
that. You
that's
do that
true.
tour,
But that's really
yeah.
true. And one of the things you said several things, but one of the things that most newer speakers, even experienced speakers, struggle with is getting out there. And that's the hardest thing because we go, I write to these people and they never write back. And you go, well, that's not good enough. When we say you sell something, it takes now between 6 and 20 touches to sell something. You think it takes any less than that to become a speaker? I'm sure Joanne didn't walk up to the first person and go, "Hey, I want to be your speaker," and they went, "Hey, okay, come on board," right?
Oh, no, completely. I mean, I often equate it to the stand-up comedian, the rock stars, the big, massive bands you see on the road. Taylor Swift, for example. These people didn't suddenly become multimillionaire record producers and record deals. They went through the smoky little bars. They had bread rolls thrown at them. They had people just not paying them any attention. And one day you get a break. And that's kind of how it happened. You've got to go around the dusty clubs. You've got to walk up with a microphone and your PA on your back and just say, "Give me a gig and I'll perform." So I think as a speaker, you have to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. You have to recognize that not everybody's interested, not everybody resonates with you. Your story has to be refined. You have to learn how to be interesting, much like a stand-up comedian, much like any performer.
Oh yeah.
I think that took me 18 months, 2 years to do that hard graft. And then what you do is I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn. So I use LinkedIn as my professional network. Again, create brand persona. I started producing YouTube video content, resources. You video yourself everywhere you go. You take a microphone, take a video camera, get testimonials, social proof, and you start building on that reputation. And then my website is packed out with references, materials. I break it down to three categories: watch, listen, and read.
Okay.
So if you want to read something I've written, I've got magazine articles, I've got blog articles I've written, you can reference it. If you want to listen to a podcast I've been on, a podcast I host, it's in the listen. If you want to see my videos, you want to go there. Joanne Talks, my Inclusion Bites watching,
So when
my
you have a
educational
website,
pieces.
let's back up. How do they get a hold of you on LinkedIn, and how do they get a hold of you normally, like your website, let's say?
Um, my name is my bookmark, so Joanne Lockwood. LinkedIn, you'll find me on there.
And
My
wait,
website,
hey, because of the people who are just listening, Joanne is spelled how?
Joanne.
Okay.
Joanne. One
Jo-
word,
One word, Joanne
Joanne.
and Lockwood, Lockwood, just like it should be. Okay.
That's it. That's exactly it. And so on LinkedIn, you'll find me there. My website is C Change Happen, SEE Change Happen, and it's .co.uk.
Oh, that's
But if
right,
you
because
Google
that's
me,
right. You're in a
yeah,
different .co.uk. So it's CSEE, like you're going to see it, like see
yeah, yeah,
change happen.
happen.co.uk, yeah.
That's so
So
cool.
SEE came out of smile, engage, and educate. So that
Oh,
was
I
my
like
mantra,
I
SEE.
like that. What was
Um,
that? What is that?
so it's all
See,
about
engage, and educate.
smile, engage, educate.
Smile. You know, here you
Because
said a couple.
the world treats you as you treat the world. So if I go into the world with a smile, I engage with you, have a conversation, and then education occurs.
Yeah.
Change doesn't occur when you bump heads with each other.
Gosh, isn't
You
that
have
the
to
truth? Change
open
doesn't
arms,
change
big
doesn't
smile.
occur when you bump heads. I do a whole workshop, Joanne, on, and I'm turning. I wasn't in my head until a second ago, but it's on the difference between. Anyway, it's where people think that if you say something, you're going to argue with somebody, right? And it's not. If you say something, if you bring something up, if you're sitting in a restaurant, your food's not right, and you bring it up and you say, "Hey, my food's not right." Most people don't want to do that kind of stuff because they're so afraid that it's going to create a problem. And if we learn that the only way things happen is by asking questions and pointing out to people that there is a problem. If we attack them, if we say, "Hey, you know what, this steak is terrible," then nobody wants to help us, right? And so it is. She said several things here that I just resonate with. So, show, don't tell. You said that 3, 4 minutes ago. Show, don't tell. That's fascinating to me because one of the things in my stuff that I teach, Joanne, is you have to ask, right? Show, ask. Don't tell. So many people are boring speakers. Say, stop boring speakers, right? Is because they keep telling people, I want to tell you about my business. I want to tell you about what I do. I want to tell you about how it will help you. And we all go, oh my gosh, I'm going to take a nap. Whereas if you ask, what's the problem? How do we help this? How do we fix this? Those are the things that Joanne is absolutely great at. And so when she reaches out to people, she doesn't say, you need what I have. She says, what do you need? And they'll say, this is what I need for my people. And then she sees if she can adjust to it. Is that right, Joanne?
Completely. Yeah, I try and work out pain points. I mean, I know that being trans causes some people confusion. I know that some businesses have trans employees or people who want to transition and they don't know how to handle that. I know that that's a pain point. I know they want to do the right thing. I know they need help. So I can frame it in a way that I'm not here to beat them with a stick, enforce them into anything. Just talk about the way I describe it is this is what makes me happy. This is what makes me sad. I hope you want to make me happy. So let's avoid the things that make me sad. So I'm just really trying to create that story where I take them on a journey from problematic behavior into positive behavior without telling. And I'm not the inclusion police. I'm not there to tell people what to think, do, or say. I'm just trying to ask them to think about what they say.
And that's real key. If I don't care where you're at and what you're trying to accomplish, we all want something from life. That's what we do. We want something. So when I go out today, I want to be happier and I want to do it a certain way. Sometimes it's by helping other people. You got volunteers out there who their happiness comes from helping other people. Some people go out there and say, I want this out of life. And then they go and achieve that. But a lot of times it's how do we help other people along this journey? That's the key. So, like when I tell people all the time, the big thing in speaking now is storytelling. And I go, storytelling is good for your grandkids, it puts them to sleep. Unfortunately, most people who are storytellers put their audience to sleep because they don't know how to engage. I invented a thing called storytizing, Joanne, and it's really exactly what you and I've been talking about here, which is how do you engage that audience? How do you get them to lean into what you have to say versus I've heard this before. You're boring me to death, and I'm just going to look at my phone for a while. You have to take that next step and find out how to engage an audience. And then you have to find out how do you go out and actively pursue a career in speaking? What do you have to accomplish? Who do you have to see? And it's not sit back and hope that somebody hires you, right? You have to be active.
Oh yeah, it's very proactive. I use LinkedIn, as I said. I've got a mailing database. I've got newsletter. I've got my podcast, 160 episodes of my own podcast, which I get guests from all over the world. So I'm continually creating content. And I mean, like me, you're old enough to remember the days where we used to pirate music. We used to download the MP3s of
That's
all these channels. And people said, well, hang on, it's killing music. Well, if you want to see Bon Jovi, you want to go and see Bruce Springsteen, you're going to go and buy a ticket. You're going to go and see it. If you pirate the music as well, that's fine. So what I say is take my best content, consume all my stuff online, because if you're going to go, wow, Joanne's amazing, I want you for my audience. I want to come and get you. So I'm really passionate about giving away my greatest hits album online. And then when I come and see you, I'm gonna do my greatest hits
I
and give it
like
to you
that. I want
live.
to give you my greatest hits album online. Go take it. So, and again, we're getting near the end here. Well, how do they get a hold of you? Where do they go to your website?
So stevechangehappen.co.uk or Google me, Joanne Lockwood. I appear on the first five, 6 pages of Google,
Joanne
all over the
talks really
place.
fast, so it was
See change happen. See change happen.
uk.
Dot UK.
All right. So
See change
see
happen.
change
Dot co.
happen.
Dot UK.
There you go. And so those are the things that when we look into what we're doing, how open are you to the changes that are happening in the world? Well, I used to say in America, and then of course we expand out our reach because like here she's from the UK, and so how good are you at experiencing? I had somebody on the other day who they said. I said, "What's new?" Before the podcast started, and they said, "Well, we're at war with you guys." And I went, "What?" And they were from Canada, and she was adamant that because Trump had done this, that we were now at war with the United States or we were with Canada. And I was like, okay, but they could only see it from this point of view. And she was adamant that we're going to come up short, and they don't understand. I don't care, right? I don't care. All I understand is when you and I are chatting, that's what's important. Are we getting along? Can we find a way to enjoy each other's company? And if we can't, guess what? We get to part ways. But we shouldn't be attacking each other. We shouldn't look for the reasons that we're not going to blend. We should look for the reasons that we're going to blend. How do you get speaking engagements? You become the person who will adapt to what that audience is looking for. And obviously, that's what Joanne has done. And that's so cool that you've only been doing this about 7 years and you're making a full time income as a speaker. And now, do you just stay in the UK or do you travel around?
No, I was in Oakland, California last year. I've
Oh,
been to Melbourne, Australia. I've spoken in Kyiv in Ukraine. I've spoken across Europe. Haven't been to South Africa yet, but that's on the list. But yeah, I do virtual talks all around the world, in the US, everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's really cool when you start to understand that the only limitation is you. The only thing holding you back is you. I was just writing up a thing, and as a matter of fact, on that, which is talking about what holds us back. What's our limitation? I've got a big brass bowl that I meditate to on occasion. And when I bong that thing, it gets a good vibration going. And that's what I tell people. It's our vibration that affects others. And I don't know about you, but I've been affected positively by Joanne right here. She's got a great vibration going on.
Yeah. And just to back up what you're saying there, Steve, you said to me earlier, you recognize that the world is changing, the politics are changing. People like me aren't in favor all around the world. And I've learned to embrace the fact that if you don't like me, that's fine. I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me. You have opinion about me. I don't have to I don't have to listen to that. So I find that by polarizing my audience, half the world love me and half the world hate me. So I can ignore the people who hate me because they don't talk to me. I can just focus on people who are interested in talking to me, which means my sales process is much easier because I'm not trying to do objection selling. I'm talking to people who actually want to talk to me and actually want what I have to offer. So yeah, that is a very, very much relaxed market in my respect. I've got my niche, I've got my lane, got my wheelhouse, and I know what that is, and I know what sells.
That is so cool. She said something that when she said, I don't have to appeal to everybody. I was just going to play pickleball this morning, and it's funny. There were two guys who wouldn't play. Now we play doubles. We don't play singles because I'm way too old for that. But there were two teams that wouldn't play with me because one of the guys on each of those teams said, "I won't play with Steve Sapato because I do a real good spin serve and I do a lot of lobbing." And one guy hates lobs, hates it, and the other guy hates spins, and he just says, "I just won't play with him." You know what? There were 15 other teams out there that would play with me. And what's important about what Joanne said was you don't fight with the people who don't want to hear you speak. You adapt and you move on and looking for your niche, looking for the people who say, I need what you have to say. So the first most important part is, what do you have to say? Right? So when we talk about that, Joanne has a niche and she says, this is what I talk about. And that's what's important. Do you have that ironed out in your head? this is what because I have people all the time, Joanne, who say, I say, what do you want to talk about? They go, leadership. And I go, that's too broad. You have to talk about this, right? So when Joanne talks, give me a topic, one of your topics that you speak about.
Bringing workplace trans inclusion policies to life. It's what I talk about. You take your PDF that's in a dusty bookshelf somewhere that nobody ever reads, and I want to help you and your leaders understand that policy and how you can bring that into fruition. So I talk about bringing policies to life. I do a lot of critical framework, but yeah, I talk about finding your why of inclusion, finding your why of D&I, to try and get people thinking.
That's right, because one of the strongest things you're going to find is people who think differently also accomplish things differently. So if your company has been struggling here because we're all thinking the same way, what you want to do is find the people like Joanne and myself who say, I think we've been doing this the wrong way. Let's try this way. We're looking at it differently. We're seeing it differently. Those are the people who are going to help you change your company, change your policy. Joanne, I really appreciate you being on today. This has been really cool. And we already know how to get a hold of you. If you guys want to get a hold of me, I'm Steve at stevesapato.com. Please do me a favor before you blink off, and that's reach right up there and click the subscribe button for the Know, Like, and Trust podcast that is going to help you change your life. Joanne, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dave. It's been fantastic.
As a professional speaker and trainer, it is my job to train you how to get the audience to know, like, and trust you from the moment you start talking.